We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh. This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there.
All right, so what do we have here? We have Monsanto pays out $10 million for spraying toxic chemicals on Hawaiian crops. Shit hits the fan plan.com. The embattled biotech company, which some have named the most vile of all agro companies out there, paying $10 million, which is just nothing to them, for dangerous pesticides on research crops in Hawaii. Now, this was part of a documentary called Poisoning Paradise. This was not seen on American or North American television. It was called, it was on the RT network, RT documentary. Pierce Brosnan's wife, who grew up there in this area of Hawaii, found out about this, and of course, because of her ability to make documentaries, have the money to do so, raise awareness that the regular commoner would not be able to stoke. And imagine her husband had something to do with it, to the ability for her to be able to create a documentary. You could probably see it out there online. It's called Poisoning Paradise. 160 pounds of pesticide used was stockpiled and sprayed even after it was banned by the U.S. government, the United States Corporation. Monsanto admitted that it used the pesticide containing methylparathion, the active ingredient in PenCap-M, on corn seed and other crops on the Hawaiian island of Maui. Now this is different. See, this is Maui. This is actually different, because I believe the other one is Kauai. The one that they reference in the Poisoning Paradise documentary is Kauai. The company also did this knowing that it was prohibited by the Environmental Protection Agency the previous year. The controversial company told its employees to go back into the spraying fields 7 days after the toxic satanic Luciferian mixture was used, whereas the area should have been closed off for 31 days. The U.S. Justice Department, which investigated the case, said that over 72 kilograms or 160 pounds of the chemical was illegally stored at the facility, endangering the environment, surrounding communities, and Monsanto workers. Methylparathion is fatal if inhaled and hazardous if swallowed. But maybe at small amounts can give you cancer in 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, and you never know where it came from because they still don't really know what causes cancer or why cancer happens in the body, or at least that's the story. We know how to combat it and make as much money off of it, but we do not know what causes it. And I contend, yes, they do. They've always known, because cancer used to be something that was non-existent. Cancer used to be in our world. But you will hear stories of, oh, cancer was here and cancer was there, and people used to die at 30. Things are not looking up for Monsanto. Well, they've already poisoned the planet, or the plane, to some. The company has agreed to pay $10 million, which includes $6 million criminal fine and $4 million in community service payments. Payoff is part of a deal which federal prosecutors will dismiss felony charges against Monsanto in 2 years if it abides by the law. It never has, and it never will. And this is just window dressing to make it look like this poisoner, this destroyer of worlds, is what it was supposed to be. Agent Orange, the Roundup weed killer that's still out there in abundance, still getting sprayed in massive amounts in your parks, in shopping centers, where your kids play, in your house, if you choose to be a weed phobe, if you choose to be weed conscious instead of just getting out there and pulling them. Now, this stuff is poison, it's toxic, and there's different levels of toxicity. Methylparathion. The news comes as Monsanto faces a flurry of lawsuits over the potential hazards of its products. Just yesterday, Canadian lawyers launched a $500 million lawsuit against Monsanto and its owner, now Bayer, who purchased it, of Germany. It says Canadian plaintiffs affected by the weed killer Roundup have been diagnosed with different forms of cancer, including brain and lung cancer. Last month, a lawsuit put together by Maui residents blamed birth defects on chemicals from Monsanto cornfields. The plaintiffs believe that the multiple toxins were heavily sprayed to test the seeds on Monsanto fields near their homes, local media reported. And this is what they do. This is what they've always done. This is not new. This is not a new thing. Okay? It's not a new thing. It's a ongoing thing. And then the media focuses on Giuliani's son making $95,000 working as a sports liaison for the White House. Unprecedented architecture of surveillance created by Facebook and Google pose grave human rights threat, as was always the objective. Now, this is a weird one that made the state-controlled media. Netanyahu indicted for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust becomes more dangerous. The Attorney General of Israel just indicted Bibi Netanyahu in 3 cases. The announcement comes at a time of political stalemate. It might help to resolve it. So, I don't really know how much this guy's going to face or like what this is, because I really don't believe that people like Netanyahu ever really, see jail cells. I don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered or committed suicide. Because people like that don't really ever see justice, or what I call as just ice. Moon of Alabama. There he is. Let's just snipe little children in the Gaza Strip in the head with snipers. Let's snipe them in the head. It's cool, man. It's justice. Attorney General, right? As I just said, Israel had 2 parliament elections this year, which both ended in a political stalemate. Neither Prime Minister Netanyahu of the Likud party nor Blue and White coalition leader Benny Gantz managed to form a government. Both were unable to find enough additional votes to form a coalition and to gain a majority. Now, whoever succeeds him, if he is put behind bars, which I highly seriously doubt, I will say that they will be the same thing. They will be the same. They will do the same. Case 4000 is considered the most serious and revolves around an alleged bribery deal between Netanyahu and businessman Shal Alovich, who controlled the Bezek telecommunications company and the Walla news site. According to the indictment, Beavis and Bloathead engaged in there it is, the thing that I am so nauseated by fucking hearing, is the quid pro quo deal, in which Yankmai and as a communication minister led regulatory steps directly tied to Butthead's business and interest that yielded the tycoon some $500 million. You can see more of this if you have any interest in it over at blacklistednews.com. There he is. There's Handsome. If this is true, rotten hell. Congress extends NSA call records collection powers to March. So the full spectrum domination in place. Don't mind my chair. Needs a serious oiling. That continues the full spectrum domination. Furious China shadows 2 U.S. warships sailing through disputed waters, warns them to leave. Did this actually make the news? Did this actually make the news? For those of you out there who want to use a browser and you don't want to see ads, you can use the Brave browser, Brave. Download it, install it, use it. Blocks all the crap and the vomit and the filth that comes through on every web page. And then a lot of these sites have the actual balls to friggin' be like, we couldn't help but notice that you're blocking our ads. This is how we survive or something. And it's like, I don't want to see your fucking ads. I'm not buying your shit. I'm not buying your stuff. What are we looking at? Are we looking at some form of substance on your page, or are we looking at shit that you want to sell? I'll go to another page. I don't care. Trump wants a trial. Impeachment crossroads. Going on time to vote. Keep going on time. Going or time to vote. Nothing about China telling our warships to get lost, huh? And then what's this about? I saw this movie preview here, the Jewel, the 96 Atlanta Olympic bombing. Was that staged? I remember back in the 80s watching movies that started talking about terrorists. It was who was it? It was Stallone, Rutger Hauer, Nighthawks it was called. Rutger Hauer played a terrorist called Wolfgar. Okay, this was like the lead up. This was Hollywood's and the entire indoctrination system, the propaganda system, preparing people. Now I wonder why, this is being brought back up. 1996 pipe bomb. I seem to remember something going off, and I just think that it was just a prelude to 2001. And all the other deceptions that that if you have a keen enough eye, or if you just have a brain that's functioning on like 50%, you can figure out that you're being manipulated. You can figure out that you're being indoctrinated into fear-based mind control. Is basically what it is. Levels of fear-based mind control that are undeniable anymore. That are just undeniable anymore. So, what do we got here? Of course, these are the big stories up here, having to do with the Trump impeachment. Andrew Napolitano says over at Reason.com. Let's give a listen to this.
Well, the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee have unearthed enough evidence, in my opinion, to justify about 3 or 4 articles of impeachment against the president.
I'm Nick Gillespie for Reason, and I am sitting down on the studio floor of Liberty File with Judge Napolitano, with Judge Andrew Napolitano. He is the senior judicial analyst at Fox News Channel. Judge, we're going to talk about impeachment and the Constitution.
Pleasure, Nick. You look very good in my chair. I don't know how well I look in the guest chair.
Okay, well, and now the hunter has become the hunted.
Oh, only you could put it that way.
You are one of the most outspoken libertarian defenders of constitutional government, of limiting the executive branch as well as the government altogether. What is the case that Donald Trump has committed impeachable offenses?
Well, the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee have unearthed enough evidence, in my opinion, to justify about 3 or 4 articles of impeachment against the president. We have to start this conversation by underscoring the fact that impeachment is not legal, it is political.
Right.
Its only constitutional base is treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. One of their counts is bribery, which I'll explain in a minute.
Okay. But that other high crimes and misdemeanors, doesn't that kind of open it up
Yes.
to what I know you've quoted him at length, but Gerald Ford, as a congressman in the early 70s, before he was vice president, before Watergate, he said, an impeachable offense is whatever the House decides on a given day.
And he made that statement based on a phrase in the Constitution which says the House of Representatives shall have the sole, S-O-L-E, power of impeachment. And another phrase in the Constitution which says each House shall write its own rules.
Right.
So those rules don't even have to be fair as long as they generate the support of the majority.
Right.
The rules under which the current House is operating were written in January 2015 when the Speaker was John Boehner and the majority was Republicans.
Okay. So that means the Republicans are going to be screaming bloody murder, that these rules are completely illegitimate. Where the hell did Shifty Schiff come up with these and all of that?
Congressman Schiff, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, is following rules that the Republicans authored 4.5 years ago.
What are those 3 or 4 articles? Because when you go into impeachment, and I'm trying to channel this from 20 years ago,
right.
When Bill Clinton was impeached.
Now, wait a minute.
Okay.
You were a baby 20 years ago.
That is true, but I was precocious, Judge. I was precocious.
Right. Here's what I think.
We had basic cable in the womb.
Right. So. Here's what I think the Democrats will want, Nick. Here's what I think they will advance. One is bribery. Mm-hmm. The allegation is, the technical definition of bribery is the failure to perform an official duty until a thing of value comes your way. And they will argue that the president's failure to disperse funds that the Congress ordered be dispersed until the recipient of the funds agreed to investigate a potential political opponent is an act of bribery. That is enough, in my opinion, to make it over the threshold of impeachable offenses. I don't think it's enough to convict of bribery, but it's enough to allege it for the purpose of impeachment. The second charge will be high crimes and misdemeanors, election law violation. The third crime will be obstruction of justice. The fourth will be interference with a witness. And the fifth may be lying under oath. Take that last one. There are reports based upon a letter that the General Counsel of the House of Representatives wrote to the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit when, in seeking copies of the grand jury materials in the Mueller investigation and asked why, he responded, because we believe the president lied under oath and the Intelligence Committee, which is investigating impeachment, needs this. The alleged lie under oath was the president's statement to Bob Mueller that he doesn't recall a conversation on the phone with Roger Stone over whether or not Stone had access to the WikiLeaks material. That's been established in the Stone trial, so now the Democrats are interested in pursuing it. So the other 2 articles of impeachment will be election law violation. The election laws, for better or for worse, I think this is a horrible law because it interferes with free speech, but it is the law. Asking a foreign government, the phrase in the statute is soliciting, for assistance for a campaign is a criminal act, whether the foreign government provides what you ask for or not.
But wait, can't Trump just say, or I guess what I'm going to ask you is, what is the Republican response? Sketch out the president's defense.
Okay,
can he say, what are you talking about? I'm investigating, in 2017, Politico and a host of other publications said Ukraine was trying to influence the American election. In 2016, Trump is just saying, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this corruption.
That is his defense. I've actually looked in the camera and said, you would be better off acknowledging the facts, but arguing that none of this is impeachable. because you're going to lose on the facts. One of the reasons he used Rudy Giuliani as the emissary for this information is because of his and Rudy's belief in the attorney-client privilege, meaning Rudy could never be interrogated and forced to divulge what he said to the president said to him. Guess what? There's no attorney-client privilege in an impeachment proceeding. That's why Rudy, I say it's absconded, that's why he didn't honor the subpoena that was served on him. The last article of impeachment that I believe they're contemplating is the same one with which they charged President Nixon and President Clinton, and that is obstruction of Congress by refusing to permit officials of the executive branch to testify and refusing to permit those officials to have access to their own documents. The most poignant example of which was earlier this week when decided to testify. They won't give me my own phone records and my own.
This, to go back to that idea, this is a political proceeding, not a legal one.
Right.
Is this just a flex by Congress to say, you know what, we have, particularly the House, we've hated...
You know, you can hear more of that over on Drudge Report. The link is there. Angelo Napolitano is kind of, like bipartisan. He just tells the truth. He's not insane like the left, and he's not a lapdog like the right is. So. And so what else here? What are the big stories in the American corporation, the American empire, where we the people aren't really we the people? And the people are the families and the posterity of the families of European monarchies, and the American presidents are all cousins, and John McCain's cousin was George Washington, and Barack Obama's cousin was George Washington, and pretty much all of them were related to George Washington. It's a bloodline pattern of domination over the deceived. Prince Andrew kicked out of Buckingham Palace. What did that pedophile do besides be a fucking pedophile? Friends with Epstein, and there it is. Kicked out of Buckingham Palace over Jeffrey Epstein's scandal. There it is. Like she hasn't, didn't know about it and participate in it. Including the death of Diana. Make sure that Diana could never speak. He's been booted from Buckingham Palace. I'm off to find a child somewhere. I'm off to find an adolescent to do whatever.
You were staying at the
I
house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay. I've gone through this in my mind so many times, but at the time I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
Blah, blah, blah. I made the line for the throne. I'm 8th in line. Bring me an adolescent. Bathe, whatever it is, and bring it to me. Andrew. Prince Andrew. I don't know why the slaves put up with this, honestly. Just, it makes absolutely no sense why the slaves actually put up with this bullshit. These royals. Fuck them. Living off the land like parasites, taking everything for themselves, giving very little back, because they know if the truth was known, the peasants and the slaves would rip them to fucking pieces. I had a conversation just the other day with someone, ex-military, who kind of had an idea or an understanding that things were just not really, like, try to have a conversation, try to put a little bit like feelers out there to see, what kind of substance people have. I'm not holier than thou, standpoint coming from that, but I just want to find out what people's, like, what the fuck are you made of? And basically, the breakdown was, well, if the people really, really knew what was going on, society would collapse. And that wouldn't be good for anybody. Now, I respect his position on it. I do. I respect his opinion, because that's what we have to do. We have to, you have to accept and you have to respect. It helps if you respect the person and whatever their opinion is. But largely, it's like, really? So we have to, like, sit back, and it's better that people never know how badly they've been screwed, how badly that everything has been taken from them, stolen from them, how they don't really have private property, how they, the home that they paid for 20, 30 years. I mean, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to kind of hear those things that people are just like, oh, this is the way things are, and blah, blah, what are you going to do about it? And I'd be like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? But the thing is like knowing where we're at, and maybe your children can live in a different world. But I guess it's better to be an unknowing slave, an unknowing peasant, a unknowing host for the parasites, than to be aware of what they've done, the mass murder that this system has generated, the American Empire, the British Empire, the banking families, the bloodlines that control pretty much commerce and everything in the world. The murder, the death that they've inflicted on creation. It's better that people just not know. It's better that people just not know, right? Just not know. Don't know. You just not know. Not know. Ruh-roh. China is again furious after the U.S. corporation sailed several warships through the heavily disputed waters in the South China Sea. the move by the U.S. has escalated tensions between both countries, already tense, as the latest round of trade talks have fallen apart, and the signing of the Phase 1 trade deal has likely been delayed. The reason why I played the Napolitano is because I respect his opinion. He's not crazy left and he's not lapdog right. But he's not being completely honest. But if you're completely honest in this world, what happens to you? What happens to you? If you're completely honest, you get destroyed. Because nobody wants to hear the truth. It's better that people not know the truth, because if they did, then things would be uncomfortable. Let's just continue. Let's just continue our march towards, a system of total deception, where you think your vote counts. Cops hold a mentally ill man down on scorching asphalt until his skin literally melted off. California man is suing the city of Citrus Heights. Wonder if that's near Sacramento. I seem to recall. I was just on the outskirts of that town. What is that, Sacramento? Yeah, Citrus Heights is a city in Sacramento County. Okay. And so, several of its police officers for the horrific injuries, skin literally melting off when police forced him onto the ground of a restaurant parking lot when the temperature was more than 100 degrees. Not exactly sure when that happened, but it shouldn't be as hot there now. And of course, rethinking national security. That's the excuse all the time. National security. We can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. Because they're protecting the criminals. They're protecting the evil people. CIA and FBI are corrupt. What about Congress? Well, if they want to be in Congress, then they don't say anything. They go along with it. Whenever they hear FBI, they're like, they drop to their knees. Same thing with the other alphabet agencies. They do exactly what they're told so that they can maintain their parasitic life and that parasitism over us. They're parasites. We are the host. It happens no other way. So they do whatever they want. Another developing story about how the U.S. intelligence and national security agencies may have conspired to influence and possibly even reverse the results of the 2016 presidential election. Radio voice is compelling, even if one is disinclined to believe that such a plot would be possible to execute. Radio voice. New York Times pans cult leader Gabbard's white pantsuit after praising Hillary for the same outfit. Yeah. What's happening with Gabbard? She's up there. She knows she's not going to win, but she's like, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell some of the truth. Not all the truth. Some of the truth. She doesn't want to lose her current job. by telling the complete truth. And of course, most people wouldn't believe it anyway. And I'm sure she's already been brought up to speed on that. But it's good to know that somebody on that left side is like, hey, the Clintons are evil and whatnot. And the deep state and war and all this other stuff is profitable. So I praise her for that. Tulsi. She's a pretty lady. The CIA helped shape Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan series into a bigoted Venezuela regime change fantasy. So I mean, and I've watched a couple of these episodes. I used to watch The Office with this Krasinski fella and thought, this is a good, in some ways, a good representation of some workplaces. So you can sit there and laugh about how dysfunctional people are and dysfunctional the workplace is. No different than school, no different than schools. And so, it's just like anything else. All of these shows, just the propagation of terror, bad people, bad guys, just being around every bend. It just kind of keeps the whole thing going. And then their family members who star in it. There's no doubt in my mind that Krasinski has some kind of connection because he married Emily, the lovely Emily. I forget what her last name is, but she's been in a number of things. First time I ever saw her on screen, I was like, oh my God, who is that? Because the reason why she's there is because she's stunning and lovely and she's related to the Queen in some way, shape, or form. She's related to one of these families. That's why they get these jobs. Krasinski marries into that. He's got some kind of connection. You do the research, if you look genealogically, these genealogical studies, you'll find out that most of these people in Hollywood are related to these families. They're related to the Queen. It's just like all the presidents are related to the Queen, go back to Charlemagne. They go back to the guy who signed the Magna Carta. Okay? It's one big family of control, and they all benefit, and we sit back and we pay the taxes, and they steal from us, and they take from us, and they keep us under they step on our fucking heads in our throat to keep us down. That's what's happening. The black people have definitely got it worse. But we're all fucking debt slaves, and we're all fucking bags of shit to the fucking system and these fucking parasites. The American people won't put up with this. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. The new analysis by researcher Tom Secker reveals how Amazon's regime change fantasy was shaped by CIA consultants and how the show's producers hid the agency's role from viewers. I mean, the Pentagon has its part in deciding what is allowed in movies. It's ridiculous. More of that over at blacklistednews.com. Doug Owens, blacklistednews.com. Princeton study, the U.S. is not losing its democracy. It's already long gone. And, democracy, and, Clint Richardson has pointed this out a number of times. It's like the democracy is like the next, what's next after the democracy is gone? People talk about democracy being subverted, democracy being destroyed, or being long gone. But honestly, it's one step away from despotism, the notion that citizens of the United States don't actually live in a democracy. Well, citizens are chattel, denizens, goyim, has been picking up steam for decades with scars from economic, social, and political decay, inflicting themselves ever more deeply into our psyches as the years move on, as was the design, as it was designed to do. Sorry. This is somebody else's creation, and they do what they want with somebody else's, with their own creation. And we are their fucking chess pieces. We are their chess pieces. Millennials seeing health decline faster than Gen X. Well, of course. A lot of these millennials have phones stuck up to the side of their fucking heads. They're eating shit from the corporate trough that has chemicals that are put in there to make you addicted to food, to create dis-ease in your body. And it's again by design. Cryptagon says more vaccines, more profits generated from the victims seeking treatments from the people who poisoned them in the first place. Mission accomplished. And there it is from the A-Team. I love it when a plan comes together. The declining health of the millennial generation could have a serious impact on the U.S. healthcare system, according to experts, as was planned by design to do exactly what it's doing. Order out of chaos. Millennials are seeing their health decline faster than the previous generation as they age. Could it be KFC and Taco Bell and vaccines? They run around. What are you? You're an anti-vaxxer. You're an anti-vaxxer. You're gonna get us all sick. Yeah. Keep up. Keep it going. Keep the deception going. Be a mouthpiece for the people that are killing you. And that statement, the health declining faster than a previous generation, was Moody's Analytics report analyzing Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Index. Without intervention, millennials could feasibly see mortality rates climb up by more than 40% compared to Gen Xers at the same age. Categorize the cattle. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm a millennial. Oh, I got an education. I'm somebody. Tax me. I want to do my part. And yell at people who don't want vaccines or that don't want to pay high taxes. It's the price that we have to pay for living in such a great country. I'm a millennial. I'm a Gen Xer. Oh, it's so great to be stupid. FBI lawyer allegedly altered document related to surveillance of Trump campaign advisor. So tired of that shit. Iran launches major air defense drills simulating war in the Gulf. I wouldn't. I think the whole thing's coming together. I think there's elements of the control grid in every single one of these countries that are going to push towards war. It's like, why would Iran do this? Why would Iran do that? Is it because they think that the U.S. has no stance, has no standing anymore in the world? Everybody else wants Iran to have the the nuclear deal that was projected and put out there. I think one of the reasons why the U.S. did it was because so that they could later have a reason to say, hey, Iran's out there and they're breaking the rules. And then Trump comes in and says, worst deal ever. Worst deal ever, Melania. And she's like, what? I am in the bath. Leave me alone. I am in the bath. I do not care, Donald. Worst deal ever. Baby. What else can I give you? And I don't have Trump delusion syndrome because I don't really give a shit. I understand that Trump is part of the bigger disease that is the American empire. And that someone like him would be in there at this time to create as much divide and polarization of the voters, of the not we the people. The citizens, the denizens, the goyim. Your vote counts. Get out there and vote. Do your thing. It's your right. It's your civil duty. The Iranian armed forces today launched a major air defense drill, codenamed Guardians of Vyatsky 98 in northern province of whatever media reported it. Of course they've got the backing of Russia and China. So it's like, it makes sense that all this stuff's World War III is going hot soon. Okay. They're gonna do something. There's going to be a event or two events or three events that are going to kind of coincide, and then it's just going to go hot, man. And then you're going to see the fucking boot come down. Bam! You're going to see the American empire change even more. That's why all of this technology and all of this stuff is just slowly being rolled out, so that when the fucking hammer drops and you're the fucking nail, make no mistake, you are the nail. And when the hammer comes down, we are the nail. I don't want to separate myself from the rest of the denizen goyim, slave citizenship, chattel. You're going to see the change happen, and it's not going to be as drastic because you saw it in a movie. And a Red Dawn is completely not out of the question. Trust me. That was a psychological one too. Measure on Armenian genocide blocked again in the U.S. Senate. Teen in California high school shooting rampage used ghost gun made from parts. Now, I really haven't been paying attention all that much. Been working. 13, 14, 15 hour days. From rise at 6 a.m. to return at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I haven't really been checking to see whether this was one of those false flag thingies. Really doesn't even matter anymore, honestly, whether it's true or it's not. Because enough people believe, remember believe means love, enough people believe when they turn that TV on that they're being told the truth. And so it doesn't even matter what I believe. A 16-year-old boy who opened fire at his Southern California high school, killing 2 classmates and wounding 3 others before shooting himself in the head, used a ghost gun built from parts, the local sheriff said on Thursday. Radio voice. Radio voice. Former Baltimore mayor pleads guilty to fraud, tax evasion, and faces decades in prison. Former Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pug pleaded guilty Thursday afternoon to federal charges in the Healthy Holly book scandal reported by the WJZ Baltimore radio voice. The disgraced mayor could face up to 35 years in federal prison. Sentencing is expected in late February 2020. Radio voice. Maduro pledges 30 million barrels of oil to back Petro cryptocurrency. Polio outbreak in the Philippines caused by the vaccine, says the World Health Organization. Wonder why they're saying that. I've got my ideas. Making it look like they're on top of the problem. Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules police can't force you to tell them your password. Pennsylvania Supreme Court issued a forceful opinion today holding that the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, that doesn't apply to the goyim, the denizen, or citizens, protects individuals from being forced to disclose the passcode to their devices to the police. In a 4-3 decision in the Commonwealth versus Davis, the court found that disclosing a password is testimony protected by the Fifth Amendment privileges against self-incrimination. Radio voice. The U.S. government continues to side with Saudi Arabia after 9/11 families slowly start to understand the truth about what happened that day. But, of course, the United States corporation that took part in the deception is going to side with the Saudis. Just send all those families over to Saudi Arabia to be beheaded, because what they feel, their family members don't even matter. The 9/11 report states we have found no evidence that the Saudi government as an institution or senior Saudi officials individually funded the organization Al-Qaeda. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has used the sentence numerous times, defending itself against families of 9/11 victims, which are attempting to sue them for financially supporting the 9/11 attacks. But hey, just suck it up. Okay? Just suck it up. They're never going to tell the truth. Okay? Never going to tell the truth. You're never really going to know unless you allow yourself to understand things that you don't really want to understand. They don't really want to understand the truth. Just like Jack Nicholson said. You can't handle the truth. Oh, Tommy Cruise. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Movie voice. And just remember, families of 9/11, okay, families that were affected by 9/11, you don't matter. You don't count. Your loved ones' lives, I don't believe this in any way, shape, or form, but your family members' lives mean nothing to the United States government. They mean nothing to the corporation or the sub-corporation, to the Crown Corporation. Okay? They mean nothing. Okay? They do what they want. They sacrifice who they want to sacrifice. And that's it. And it's sad. And it's hurtful. But we are property. If somebody wants to throw property away, they do whatever they want to their creation. They've replaced God. We've replaced God with citizenship. We are not natural men, not natural women. We are not natural men or natural women when we are part of the corporation. We are employees of the corporation, and they can fire us whenever they want. They hired us at birth. They can fire us and get rid of us whenever. And firing us and getting rid of us means they can sacrifice our lives because they own us. Okay? That's the way it works. That's what happens. That's how it happens. That's the way it works. I hate to be the one, the bearer of bad news. I really do. I really hate being the bearer of bad news. But this is the dealio, yo. This is how things happen in the corporation, in the American empire. The world is a vampire sent to drain, secret destroyer. Hold your feet to the flames. A deadly game of chicken in Iraq and Lebanon. Would they open up Kentucky Fried Chickens over there? The popular revolts in Iraq and Lebanon may be against different governments, but they represent a linked challenge to despotism and regime violence in the Arab world, and both share a central element. All right? They are quintessential showdowns because the regimes refuse to consider incremental reform. The only way forward is to win. Defeat for either side will be absolute. Gradual reform might be the best theoretical outcome for these troubled states, but alas, it isn't on offer. So Iraq, which, I mean, that was a deception, the Iraq war and all that other stuff. And then, of course, you have, the government there who murdered all the children and, well, helped, maybe largely, not that one, but this government that was put in place after the takeover of Iraq. And, of course, the sanctions that killed so many children. Madeleine Albright said, "Yeah, I think it was worth it killing all those children." Another member of the family, another member of the bloodline that does what they say, what they're told to say, without shame, because they're never gonna be held accountable. Never gonna be held accountable. So they say whatever they want to say, whatever they're told to say, really. And of course, the Middle East is just boiling over with. The tipping point is so close. The tipping point in the Middle East, the spark that it's going to take. Boom, 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 boom. It's like the controlled demolition in 2001. That's the way, the direction this world is going to go. With the U.S. warships, moving through the areas that China doesn't want them to be in, and Russia, being constantly demonized, maybe justified, maybe justified, may not be, but it's all leading towards a world war that is going to, that's already predetermined, like World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Gulf War I, Gulf War II, everything. All predetermined that these things are going to take place. Project for a New American Century. We need a catalyzing event. A new Pearl Harbor. They made it happen. And blamed it on some people with box cutters. It's ridiculous things. How do we find this document, this passport? Seems to be unscathed. It's just laying here in the rubble. It was inside one of those planes that hit the buildings, and yet there's a passport that's unscathed, other than some dust and junk. Which is entirely possible. Plausible deniability. It's plausible. It's plausible. We can deny it. Of course, this could flow into what we were talking about before. U.S. relations with China were just destroyed, and nothing will ever be the same again. Let's see what this one is. Radio voice. The economic collapse. Our relationship with China just went from bad to worse, and most Americans don't even realize that we just witnessed one of the most critical foreign policy decisions of this century. The U.S. Senate just unanimously passed the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act of 2019, and the Chinese are absolutely seething with anger. Seething with anger. I'm seething with anger about this. Violent protests have been rocking Hong Kong for months, and the Chinese have repeatedly accused the United States of being behind the protests. Is that possible? Entirely. But could it be an excuse for war? Whether it is true or not, the United States Empire Corporation Senate has openly sided with the protesters by passing this bill, and there is no turning back now. There's no turning back. The protesters in Hong Kong have been waving American flags, singing our national anthem, and they have made it exceedingly clear that they want independence from China. And all of us should certainly be able to understand why they would want that. Mistake they're making is that America is somehow far greater, and that they don't participate in these things that China does to them. And all of us should certainly be able to understand why they would. Why they would want that, because China is a deeply tyrannical regime. But to the Chinese government, this move by the U.S. Senate is essentially an assault on China itself. They are going to argue that the U.S. is inciting a revolution in Hong Kong. And after what the Senate has just done, it will be very difficult to claim that is not true. Economic collapse blog, you can Google that, or you can go to Blacklisted News to find out more about this. I'm just going to carpet bomb you with information that you may not be aware of. The wealthy Hong Kongers are activating contingency plans as violence spirals out of control. You mean the bloodline families of the Chinese Empire? Yes. They have the same thing going on over there as we have here. It's just that they've been able to get away with their brutality. No, I don't really think that the U.S. is behind the protests over there. It's entirely possible. But I think that this is largely, now, if it starts out grassroots and it's well-meaning and it's done for the right reasons, yeah, I get it. Could there be some outside element that comes in and tries to incite things? Possibly. But I think that is a cop-out. I think that maybe it's happening on a small level, but I think that the people over there are like, fuck you, Chinese government. You bags of shit. We're finished with your internet censorship and all these other things. You know, Google comes in and implements all these different things. There's just too much collusion to say that these things are. I just don't believe that the U.S. has the ability to. But anything's possible. Like I said, Red Dawn in America is not outside of the possibility of actually happening here. They created the American empire, and they will bring it down. As I stare into the geoengineering in the sky. We've written plenty about how the unrest rattling Hong Kong has shaken up its economy and threatened one of the most important industries, tourism, while millions of savers have seen the value of their homes decline, a trend that could seriously threaten the region's financial system. Canada launches major class action lawsuit against Monsanto's Roundup and owner Bayer. Now, you would think that this shit would be completely pulled off none of this stuff would ever be able to be used, that they would find some kind of natural, organic way to control weeds. But see, we're the weeds. Okay? We are the weeds that they want to kill. A Canadian law firm has filed a $500 million class action lawsuit against Monsanto and its owner Bayer. It says they've been acting with reckless disregard for the safety of Canadians by selling weed killer Roundup. I just wonder what, it's happening and you say, all right, well, that's a good thing, but why now? And I'm not you just don't know what is going to transpire, what is, it's the chaos of everything and the shit hitting the fan all at once. The impeachment, China going to shit, Bolivia, Syria being what it is, the democratic debates that are just a fucking shit show joke. Other than Tulsi Gabbard, these people are just heroes of the stupid. And I'm not on the right because they're heroes to the Warren Buffetts and they give their corporate welfare, where the left give their welfare and keep people voting the right way. Their protection money, their welfare and their protection money. Former Ukrainian Secret Service official leaks info on how Ukraine funded Clinton campaign with stolen IMF money. Prozorov charges that during the 2016 presidential race, Ukrainian government not only helped Hillary Clinton by providing potentially damaging information on the Trump campaign employees like Manafort, but also used money diverted from IMF to fund Hillary Clinton's campaign. Inside Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico ranch, jaw-dropping pictures show pedophiles' 8-person party shower, life-sized installation of a crucified Jesus, and underground strip club where teens would entertain VIP guests. Dozens of new photos and videos have video give the most revealing look yet into Epstein's notorious baby-making ranch in the Mexican desert, including his 8-person party shower that is outfitted with dozens of bottles of oils. Let's get rid of some of these things here. And we can take a closer look at this in a moment. Forever war in the last 20 years has cost $6.4 trillion. How many hungry people that would feed? And how many vets that would get off the street? Okay. These things continue because nobody wants at the highest levels there are no benevolent, hardly any benevolent people at these top levels that want or can make any change. And we see veterans who have fought wars. You don't create a killer and then when he comes back, he or she comes back, because eventually they're going to figure out that they've been, that's why they don't take care of the veterans, because they create people that are warriors and they don't want them being well. They don't care when veterans die. They don't care that veterans are homeless on the street. They don't care about the veterans. Okay. The system is a lying, deceptive maniac who will say whatever it has to say to keep the deception going. Like the media will be like, what, you don't support the troops? You're the worst form of life if you don't support the troops, right? So, right? And Tulsi Gabbard apparently is the worst person in the world because she sat down with Assad. And then that Buttigieg guy shames her for actually going to talk to this. I mean, he neither knows what he's doing or he's the stupidest fucking asshole on the face of the fucking earth. If he thinks that the narrative of Bashar al-Assad is true. I'm not saying that he probably hasn't had people killed, but every president, John McCain, all these senators, all these lifetime politicians have blood on their hands. They've killed people. They've indirectly killed people. And this Buttigieg guy is sitting there who's never been in the military. And he's judging Tulsi Gabbard, who was in there, and they're sitting there attacking her. I mean, it's just disgusting. Fuck you, Pete Buttigieg. Fuck you, whoever the other woman is in there. Fuck you, Bernie Sanders, for lying to people. You're all a bunch of fucking liars. You're all a bunch of fucking ass-kissing, kissing up fucking liars, is what you are. And of course, Donald Trump lies too. So did Barack Obama. They all lie. They've all indirectly murdered children. And maybe even have fucked them. Okay? This system should not be even admired in any way. What is her name? Kamala Harris. She's another disgusting, vile creature. Like Sanders. He's another disgusting, vile, lying creature. Elizabeth, fuck it, whatever the fuck, she's been talking about banks for years. Nothing will ever change with the banks. She is there just to make it look like there are checks and balances. Elizabeth Warren. All of these people are all fucking related. They are fucking parasites, and they're living off the American goyim, denizen, citizenship. Okay? It's a slave citizenship is what it is. These are truths. I'm sorry. This is real. These people are fucking parasites. Kamala Harris is a fucking parasite. Putting people to jail for marijuana, all these things, they all do the same fucking thing. Just like Fat Boy, New Jersey governor, years ago. The only good thing he did was pardon the black mother who was attacked violently at one point, has her kids, and she went out and she bought a gun and learned how to use it to protect her and her family, single mom. And then she drove into New Jersey. She got pulled over, probably for speeding. That's a big problem in America today. Not the biggest problem, but people are going fucking insane on the roads. Small percentage of people are going fucking insane. If you look at the way they drive and what they do. She said, "Oh yeah, officer, I have a gun," and he was like, "You're under arrest." And I can't even think of his name. Fat guy. Another pimped out parasite in the system. He got her off and said, "Listen, you made a mistake. You weren't trying to hurt anybody." And that's the only thing that I honestly believe that he ever did right. Chris Christie, that I believe that he ever did that was good. It's all America, American politics, world, global politics is nothing but fucking corruption. They don't follow the rules, but you have to follow the rules. They make money off of you not following the rules. You get pulled over because you didn't use a turn signal in a residential area, and it's only to be able to find out whether you don't have your documentation or you've been drinking or, they just looking for probable cause, and a turn signal is probable cause. I mean, you are money. I am money to the system. And these lawyers, the Kamala Harrises, the Bernie Sanders, and all these other fucking jokers, even Tulsi Gabbard to a certain extent, other than the fact that she is telling the truth. And that Pete Buttigieg, get lost. Get lost, dude. You and your moral fucking high ground. Cut it out. I don't even care about your sexual situation, okay? How dare you sit there and fucking judge somebody because they're telling the truth or trying to tell some semblance of the truth. It's fucking disgusting, man. Anything out there? I thought this was going to be the... you'd think that would be right on the top of the page there Right? Wouldn't it? But it's not. Right? No. That's not it. Hold on. Let me swipe. You fucker. Anyway. Didn't go right to Epstein, right? Right? Let's click on this again. Open up the tab and see if it opens up to Epstein. It says exclusive inside Epstein's ranch, and what do we see here? Way to go, MSN. Way to go. Way to go. Let me see what that thing says. Okay, it says talk about more stories. Show me. Show me what? I just saw something about somebody, dementia patient. Okay. Dementia is injected into you. ALS, all of these muscle wasting, brain wasting is injected into you. Just a little side note. And of course, nothing here on Epstein, right? Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all on the story. All right? It's completely gone. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Okay, so there you go. There's your deceptive, there's a story, and you go there, and the story has been either pulled or removed from the page. Latest Keystone Pipeline oil spill is nearly 10 times worse than initially thought. Oil's not a fossil fuel, people. Oh, this is what I would imagine. Chicago is rigging red light cameras to rack up millions of dollars in fines. It appears as though someone figured out that red light cameras could rack up tons more in fines if the number of times a light changes to red increases. This has led to nefariously shorter green lights in certain areas of Chicago. And I've seen that happen in a lot of places. If you look up and you see one of those like tube cameras, don't think about it. Don't even do it. Some of these green lights are like 3 seconds in length, 3 seconds, and then boom, they go right back to red. Just continues and continues and continues. Public treated to obfuscation at waterfront Toronto meeting on negotiations with Google sister company over surveillance district. Let's see here. Surveillance, man. It's just a huge, huge profit, man. Create your 2001 event, and then everything else falls in line. Markets, 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 markets. Money, 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 money. Markets, markets, markets. More surveillance. Full spectrum domination. Portland, Maine, considering facial recognition technology ban. A proposed ordinance in Portland, Maine would ban the use of facial recognition technology in the city. The growing movement to prohibit the use of facial recognition at the state and local levels could hinder the operation of a growing national facial recognition network. Cops put GPS tracker on a man's car, charge him with theft after he removes it. What would you do if you found a creepy device attached to your car that looked like something was used to track you? Would you simply leave it there or go on about your business? Or would you remove it? Well, a man in Indiana chose the former and removed it. It turned out to be a GPS tracker, and because it was placed there by the police, the man is now being charged with theft. He's now fought his case all the way to the state Supreme Court. It's amazing. It's really truly amazing. You are not free in America. You're not free at all. Even if you think that you are doing everything right and you've got nothing to fucking hide, if that's your answer to all this, you're a fucking coward. You're exactly what an you're exactly what an authoritarian, despotic, full spectrum domination state wants. Humans put in suspended animation for the first time. And as I was thinking about this the other day, what else are they doing while this impeachment stuff's going on? Well, they reauthorized the Patriot Act. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty fucking cool, man. What's this? Probably the Epstein document will be over here. The New Scientist. Doctors have placed humans in suspended animation for the first time as part of a trial in the U.S. that aims to make it possible to fix traumatic injuries that would otherwise cause death. Samuel Tishman at the University of Maryland School of Medicine told New Scientist that his team of medics has placed at least one patient in suspended animation, calling it a little surreal when they first did it. He would reveal how many people had survived as a result. Oh, he wouldn't. I'm sorry. He would not reveal. Probably because all their organs turned to pus and they shit themselves out. What does it involve? Cooling a person to around 10 to 15 Celsius by replacing all of their blood with ice-cold saline. The patient's brain activity almost completely stops. They are then disconnected from the cooling system, and their body, which would otherwise be classified as dead, is moved to the operating theater. Ooh. The surgical team then has 2 hours to fix the person's injuries before they are warmed up and their heart restarted. Tishman says he hopes to be able to announce the full result of the trial by the end of 2020. By the end of 2020. 2020. Alright, so it's interesting, huh? It's pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. And of course, the Americans are distracted by the impeachment trial, and now the Patriot Act gets reauthorized. House Democrats have slipped an unqualified renewal of the draconian Patriot Act into an emergency funding bill, voting near unanimously for sweeping surveillance carte blanche that was the basis for the notorious NSA program. A 3-month reauthorization of the act was shoehorned into a last-minute continuing resolution funding the U.S. government bundling measures needed to avert yet another government shutdown with a continuation of the wildly intrusive surveillance powers passed after the 9/11 terror attacks. Democrats voted almost unanimously for it, granting the far-reaching surveillance capabilities to the very same president they're trying to impeach. Radio voice. Well, that's good to know. Marijuana federal legalization passed the House Judiciary Committee. I wonder if it's the only thing that's going to be available at some point is genetically modified something. Oh, I'm so wasted. What? Now I'm dead. Ukrainian indictment claims $7.4 billion Obama-linked laundering puts Biden group take at $16.5 million. An indictment drawn up by the Ukraine's Office of the Prosecutor General against Burisma owner Nikolai Zlochevsky claims that Hunter Biden and his partners received $16.5 billion for their services, according to Ukrainian military, Ukrainian MP Alexander Dubinsky of the Ruling Servant of the People Party. Okay, that's what they're probably trying to cover up over there. $7.4 billion of laundered money, and then of course the 16.5 for the sniffy Bidens, the touchy sniffy. A wide-scale Israeli strike on Damascus kills 23 after alleged Iranian rocket attack. So they just lie and say that there's a rocket attack, and then they can just go in there and continue to decimate the Syrian people. Don't really hear that on the news, right? Now that Assange is safely locked up, Sweden drops its investigation. Too much screen time may be stunting toddlers' brains. Toddlers who spent loads of time looking at tablets, smartphones, or TVs may be changing their brains, and not for the better. Not for the better. Deutsche Bank to replace 18,000 workers with robots. House passes month-long spending bill with 2 days until shutdown. Americans are already bored of the impeachment hearings. We still don't know what Gina Haspel really knew about the CIA's torture program. U.S. national debt spiked by $1.3 trillion in 12 months to $23 trillion. But who bought this pile of treasury securities? Monetizing debt. ISIS secrets spilled in rare on-camera interviews. We just walked into Syria. Over the years of the war in Syria, an overwhelming amount of evidence has amassed documenting that the so-called Islamic State Caliphate was established after tens of thousands of ISIS and other foreign figures were allowed to pour across Turkey's southern border into Syria. Yeah. That Turkish leader over there is part of it as well. It's all a deception. It's all a deception. Clinton Foundation files $16.8 million loss. Smart home tech can help evict renters, surveillance company tells landlords. Smart home tech. And see, and landlords have been getting fucked for a long time by laws that go against. I mean, like they're out there. I'm a landlord and I'm trying to make money, and I get a renter or for example, a renter comes in and just fucking trashes the place. It's just a total piece of shit. I've seen it personally. I know somebody who owns property or had 2 properties, and the people come in and they're just bags of American fucking shit who should have died in their fucking cribs. Okay? But the laws are there to, no matter what they do, to protect them. No matter what they do to protect them. And now, what do we get? Smart home tech can help evict renters. So now now that they've supported the renter, now they're gonna push it over. Okay? See, it's everything that's done in our society is done. I mean, as this one example of people who purchase properties to improve their life as far as monetarily, buy property, rent it out, okay, increase your income, live a better life slowly by purchasing real estate, renting it out, things like that, okay? These laws have been created against them, not in their favor, mostly not in their favor, in the favor of the renter. But now it's switching. It's going to the other side now. Using technology to now empower, because most of these properties and most of the big properties and things like that are now owned. Like, there's been a transference of just power and wealth across the board. So I don't even have to read into these stories anymore. You can absolutely see how things are changing. Marijuana being, okay, oh, that's great. Now, oh, we're going to be more free. No. There's going to be a percentage of whatever it is that these people are smoking that are going to fucking kill them. Something nasty that's going to fucking hurt them bad. We covered the Patriot Act being reauthorized during the impeachment. Never let a good crisis go to waste. A new study using brain scans showed that the white matter in the brains of children who spent hours in front of screens wasn't developing as fast as it was with the brains of toddlers who didn't, kids who didn't. It's in the white matter of the brain where language, other literacy skills, and the process of mental control and self-regulation develop. Okay, I was talking about the drivers and things like that. I'm telling you, man, there are people out there right now that are driving insanely. And it's like, you look at them and you look at what they're doing and you're like, that is, like, what is causing that? Like, what is fucking causing these people to want to drive like this? And I contend that it is the phones and the food, and these people have fucking brain damage. I mean, they have fucking brain damage, and they're driving, and they're like, I got to be in front of everybody else. And they're just speeding. Let me see. What we think happens is that the development of these skills really depend on the quality of the experience, such as interaction with people, interaction with the world, and playing. Okay. Yeah. Explained lead researcher Dr. John Hutton. He is director of the Reading and Literacy Discovery Center at Cincinnati's Children's Hospital. Well, most of these children that are in these hospitals are have been riddled with friggin' vaccines and will never, ever be the same again. It will never, ever be the same again. So some of these things that are happening to the brain, there's no doubt that the screen time is causing issues. No doubt. But they've also been injected with toxins and poisons and heavy metals and all kinds of fucking nasty things that you're not allowed to say no to. You're not allowed to say no to. Just think about that. Give that a fucking thought. U.S. national debt spiked by 1.3 trillion in 12 months to 23. So we're talking almost 20 trillion. Who bought this pile of shit? Wolf Street. That's a good one. Let's get over to the. Let's see. I think Max Kaiser interviews this guy. The Fed opened the vault in September, but others bought too. The U.S. gross national debt. Okay, we covered that. How will this debt balloon during the next economic downturn? How will this balloon? How will it balloon? Okay, how will it? Yet this was a rhetorical question. It's better not to even think about it, and no one is thinking about it. When the bubble fucking breaks, people, wow! All this stuff is being done. They've been kicking this down the road for. I mean, going on 12 years now since that 2008 crisis. But who is buying all this? Every dollar of this debt exists in form of treasury securities that someone must have bought and must own. In terms of foreign holders, we got some answers in the Treasury Department's TIC data today, which shows how much of this debt was held, bought, or dumped by foreign investors through the end of September. And we can glue the other pieces together from the Fed's balance sheet and from the Treasury Department's disclosures. I mean, there's more information over there. If you wanted to get this easily broke down and how this is going to affect things going forward, you got to listen to the Kaiser report. When was this report put out? Wolf Street. When was this? November 18th. All right, so we're talking, obviously this week. Max Kaiser probably has information on this. You can find him on YouTube, Kaiser Report. He'll break this stuff down, tell you how it's all gonna, or roughly kind of tell you how bad it is and what it's gonna do when the spark hits the payload. All right, so let's see what we got here. 1 second. Trying to find the time here, and I'm not seeing it. Okay. All right. A little bit more. Might even have time for a complete and total show here. Genetically engineered babies only 2 years away. NATO to make outer space the next operational domain. Just more theft of money. Because it's becoming abundantly clear that the cosmology is another deception. Epstein's jail guards to face criminal charges. 2 New York jail guards connected to billionaire pedophile Epstein's death in a Manhattan jail are expected to be criminally charged for their forgery of prison records, according to reporting that surfaced Monday. So either these guys are never going to face anything because they were part of the bullshit lie, or they're going to wind up dead, or it's just going to be, or they're actually going to go to jail and face these criminal charges. We'll see how that pans out and how it trickles. See how these stories trickle through the mainstream media, how fast and how long they're covered. How fast they get there, how long they're covered. New Hampshire town removes Christmas from its Christmas ceremony after 2 people complain about being offended. Fuck Christmas. Fuck Kwanzaa. Fuck Hanukkah. Fuck all of them. People take a time of the year when it's supposed to be like awesome, and the roads fill up with morons. It's going to get bad. It gets bad every year. You're not going to be able to move around. You're just going to feel trapped wherever you are. And it's shit. Fuck the holidays. I call them the horror days. I'm not being negative. They are the horror days. And it's just the banks. The bankers get even more. They just get more from these idiot people who just want to, and of course the lying to their kids about this fucking bearded, fat, red-suited pedophile. It's awful. Starting off lying to children about something that doesn't exist. Who brings them gifts if they're good. It's sick, man. It's fucking sick. It's just fucking sick. I mean, think about it. Don't judge me, mother. Don't fucking judge me. Radio voice. Radio voice. It's just a mess. The entire system is an absolute fucking deception. Everything about it. Every news reporting service. From CBS, Fox, ABC, NBC, NPR, 60 Minutes. It just continues to support the liars and the deception of the American empire, the American corporation, the sub-corporation of the mothership crown. And as you can see, just, story after story. Biden's still out there. Oh, cannabis is a gateway drug. Yeah, it causes you to sniff and touch people inappropriately, right, Joe? Pompeo issues historic policy reversal. Israeli West Bank settlements not illegal. I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised. China killing prisoners to harvest organs for transplant. New report exposes the cover-up. Yeah, they've got mobile execution vans and harvest organs. That's what these corporations do. It'll happen. It'll be happening in America if it hasn't happened already, or if it hasn't been happening. Oh, it's called the donor card. Yeah. Oh, he's a donor. Let him die. You know how much money that this can bring us and that can bring us? I mean, dude, I'm just hoping that God, the actual creator, pulls the plug real soon, man. That's what this nightmares. A lot of people are going to suffer, man. A lot of suffering is going to take place, man. And they don't fucking care. They don't care, man. Insect apocalypse poses risk to all life on Earth. Conservationist warn. Derp. And of course, the use of these pesticides, man, it's changing everything. Plus the geoengineering and everything that's in there, everything in the fake clouds. It's destroying everything. It's destroying creation. It's just destroying creation. That's what they want. I mean, just look at it all. China is building up its shadow reserves to counter its reliance on the U.S. dollar. No safe way to implement 5G. Is a military weapon that's going to be, God only knows whether it's true or it's not. I mean, this technology is harmful. This cell phone technology is fucking harmful. You don't want it up to your fucking head. Yet you see people out there every day just fucking, you see them in their cars touching the phones all the time. It's like, I can't even believe. I look at society, I cannot even believe it is in the state and condition that it is in. It's beyond comprehension sometimes. 5G technology is the holy grail of the technocrats who desperately want to enable a ubiquitous command and control network of Internet of Things devices to control human populations en masse. Thus, safety research on toxic effects is being aggressively suppressed. Styrofoam eating larva project wins National High School Sustainability Contest. In a historic move, a vote to federally legalize marijuana to take place in Congress this week, and we're going back in history, so we know that already kind of went through. Washington threatens Egypt with sanctions over buying something from Russia. Military. I mean, basically breaking it down, the lowest common denominator. They bought something from Russia, so now sanctions. The U.S.-sponsored coup that ousted Evo Morales. Bolivia's partnership with China in lithium production. Lithium. You know how many cell phones that is? You know how many fucking deadly weapons that people will consent to carrying around and holding in their hand, especially when 5G kick in? Be kicking in, yo. China, USA, and geopolitics of lithium. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the reasons. That's not the only reason. Farmageddon, Trump announces more emergency bailouts as U.S. farm debt soars to $416 billion. Just continues, man. These maggots. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Put the MK scope on ya. If the MK hits you, it's guaranteed to open ya. The 57mm Mark 110, 220 rounds a minute, try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list, that's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. But you're nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform shock and awe on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessed